From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Meteorologist Mike Krueger, and it is your Tuesday, that is, August 5th. We've got a warming trend here this week. Temperatures are getting warmer, but I do expect those highs to get even hotter by the time we get to the weekend. We're talking 105 plus by the time we get to the weekend, and possibly even lasting into early next week. That being said, next week won't be as hot, but still hot. Temperatures around or even just above normal for this time of the year. And looking at the long range, it looks like it'll be sunny, hot, and dry. That's right. We're not talking about thunderstorms making their way to the forecast anytime soon. All right, here's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Tuesday, August 5th. A quick look at your forecast here for today is calling for temperatures around 70 by 8 o'clock this morning. Otherwise, mainly in the 50s for the higher elevations. The coast, yeah, you're still seeing that morning fog, even some drizzle in the early morning hours, but I do expect a lot of the fog and clouds to burn off here before midday and turning out to be a lot of sunshine even for the coast. Now we see the storm systems and the clouds riding up to our north. Some of those clouds will spill over into Northern California, but for the most part, high pressure is settling in, and that's going to give us those warmer temperatures. You're going to notice an increase in our temperatures from yesterday. We're talking low to mid 90s in the valley, 80s, even some 90s for the higher elevations, and mid 60s, give or take, for the coast. There's your 7-day outlook for the valley. There's that warming trend. Now we're up to about close to 100 degrees by Thursday, and then over 100 degrees really across the board in the valley by Friday through the weekend and into early next week. For the coast, temperatures mid to upper 60s and maybe even around 70 by places like Crescent City, for example. Inland, you're talking temperatures around 100 degrees or higher by Friday. That's also the case for Trinity County. And for the higher elevations around Siskiyou, Modoc County, the Eastern Mountains, not quite the triple digits, but it may get close in some cases, like, for example, Susanville up to about 100 degrees by next Monday. But there you can see that gradual increase in those temperatures, mainly in the mid to upper 90s. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. Let's take a look at now your fire weather forecast. And we're going to take a latest look at the fires, what's going on there. I want to take you off first and foremost out to the Big Cliff Fire. We're going to take a look at the satellite image here. Now, this is looking at any heat signatures, and you can see that heat signature in the area in yellow that I've circled. That's from the Big Cliff Fire. It was a little active as we went into the evening hours, but overnight we've seen some of that activity kind of die down. So that's pretty typical. That's pretty standard. So let's take a closer look at that. There you can see the fire perimeter from the Big Cliff Fire. Now, as of yesterday at about 5:52 in the afternoon, you can see it was at 546 acres. And, you know, yesterday at this time I was reporting 0% containment. So we are seeing progress, right? We are seeing up to 2% containment at this point. So just kind of give you an idea what the firefighters are dealing with the Big Cliff Fire. You can kind of see some of the terrain that they are dealing with here with this. And we are looking at a lot of the big part of the fire here kind of in a very steep terrain. So this obviously makes the firefighting efforts a little bit more difficult for the firefighters on the ground. And of course, you can bet there's going to be some air attack on this as well. Now, I want to show you the heat signatures from the last 6 to 12 hours and kind of really illustrating where most of that activity has been. And it's mainly around the fire perimeter itself. So you can see on the north end of the fire burning there, kind of downhill as a matter of fact. And then you can see on the south side of the fire, we're seeing some of that latest activity as well. In the meantime, we take a look at this distance from Scott Valley, and in particular Etna hasn't moved any closer over the last 24 hours at about 11.8 to about 12 miles as we kind of take a look at how far it is from the fire. Take a look at the Green Fire as of yesterday at 5:39 p.m., 19,022 acres. That really hasn't changed over the last several days. Went from 96 to now 97% contained. Fire we're getting less and less concerned about. The Butler Fire also seeing some better containment, has gone up a few percentage points in containment at 93% containment. As of yesterday morning, 21,058 acres. That again has not changed since yesterday. Let's take a look at that smoke forecast, and in there you can see here, we're really not going to see a whole lot going on here. Now, what we're looking at here, that's actually not the Summit Fire that we're looking at. That's coming in from the Big Cliff fire, where we're seeing really a bulk of that smoke. So just kind of bear that in mind when we're looking at this. We're not looking at the Summit fire, we are looking at the Big Cliff fire. And really most of that smoke is pushing off to the east here towards Mount Shasta, but really we're not seeing very strong winds, so it's really not pushing that smoke a whole lot, but generally off to the east, where we're seeing most of the smoke in southwest Siskiyou County and into northern Trinity County as well. Hey, by the way, I want to remind you there is a great resource that I've developed for you at weathernorcal.com. Just click on the fire danger section and that'll give you all the information that you need. So be sure to click right here, and you can always check out the latest when it comes to the fires. So be sure to check that out at weathernorcal.com. Let's take a look at the forecast now with the fire weather danger here, and you can see that those winds for the most part not that bad today. Even this afternoon, they're not picking up a whole lot for the valley, but they are picking up a little bit off in the eastern mountains with those winds coming in from the west and northwest. Not much change here even as we go into your Wednesday, although the winds may pick up here for Wednesday afternoon. A little bit of a bullseye with some stronger winds here. That actually may elevate that fire weather risk for tomorrow. So you can see here for today, we're mainly in that low to moderate. Now that's good to see, because a lot of times during this time of the year, we're at the very least, kind of in that moderate to high. We see the yellows and oranges in the map here, but we're mainly in the greens and yellows even for the valley. That doesn't mean we can let our guard down. We still need to be careful in preventing the fires from starting. So the elevated risk here by tomorrow, because again, remember those winds are picking up a little bit stronger tomorrow afternoon, especially for the north and west side of the valley. So that's something we need to be aware of as we really progress over the next 24 hours. Hey, by the way, there's a free Weather NorCal app. Just go to your app store, search for Weather NorCal, make sure that you got a space between Weather and NorCal, and you can download the app for free. Now, a lot of apps out there are AI generated. You just, the one that's the native app on your phone, you can bet that's generated by AI. But what's cool about the Weather NorCal app is, at least here locally, a majority of the forecast is generated by yours truly. I generate a forecast every morning. It then goes out to the app and any other source of information that you get Weather NorCal from, whether it's from weathernorcal.com or even watching this forecast as well. All right, so let's take a look at that satellite image here. You can see the clouds mainly being pushed up to our north. We've got high pressure that's going to be building a little bit stronger. That's over the eastern Pacific right now. Some of these clouds are still kind of going to spill over into Northern California today, so don't be surprised if you do see a few more clouds for places like Siskiyou County, Del Norte County, even Modoc County. But for the most part, we're looking at mainly sunny skies, even for the coast. Now, as we go into your Wednesday, you see a few showers are starting to show up and pop up here. If you see a stray sprinkle tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening for Del Norte, maybe northern parts of Siskiyou County, don't be surprised, but I am not in any shape or form expecting any thunderstorms to develop, so not worried about lightning strikes. Then you can see as we go into your Thursday, some of that fog still persisting even midday for parts of Humboldt Bay, but otherwise you're looking at mainly sunny skies again for your Wednesday and even your Thursday as well. All right, so Northern California, it will start to heat up. This is that mild air that was over us yesterday. It's beginning to move on out. This cooler air will kind of help to keep our temperatures at bay a little bit towards the Wednesday, Thursday time frame. But then behind that is going to be this dome of high pressure right here. That's building in Friday through the weekend. Eventually this over the desert southwest will expand into our region, giving us even hotter temperatures by around Sunday. And looks like Sunday, Monday is going to be the peak as these two areas of high pressure really start to join forces and give us some pretty hot temperatures. And then this will start to back off a little bit here. The heat over the desert southwest, now over us, is going to be here by early next week. So we'll see a slight dip in our temperatures, but most likely staying above normal even as we go into early next week. And you can see that 10-day trend. You see how it kind of peaks around Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Temperatures start to slowly drop off a little bit here, quite possibly Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Honestly, though, I have a feeling I may be bumping up these temperatures over the next day or so here. So yes, we're starting off this week with temperatures below normal for this time of the year, but it looks like we're going to see some bigger heat than we've seen in a while by the time we get to the end of this week and this upcoming weekend. But nothing really, nothing excessive. I mean, we're not talking 110, 115. We're talking 103 to 106. I mean, that's hot, and you're still going to need to make sure you're staying hydrated in the works. But again, we don't want to start seeing those 110, 115 degree readings, do we? Take a look at the lake levels. They're still very healthy, about 70% capacity right now for Shasta Lake, but that doesn't sound so great, does it? But you look at the historical average where we typically are this time of the year, we're still above 100% there. So that's obviously just kind of a silver lining, if you will. Taking a look at those wave heights, they actually may start to increase as we take you on into your Wednesday. But as of right now, at least for today, there are no small craft advisories. You've got those winds coming in from the north at about 5 to 10 knots and your waves from the north at 3 feet at about 5 seconds. Here's a look at your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. Let's go and take a look at your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures for the most part in the 90s. Some of the cooler spots, Ruth at about 84, 79 for Mad River. So for Trinity County, I'm expecting triple digits to return by sometime around Friday and then above 100 degrees by the weekend. Your North Coast neighborhood forecast brought to you by Dignity Health. There you can see for the coast, even the coast seeing temperatures close to, if not right around 70 by Friday and into the weekend. Up north, 86 for Orleans, 88 for Hoopa, 90 in Willow Creek. We're back up into the triple digits by Friday and then even above 100 degrees by the weekend. Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast brought to you by Dignity Health. Temperatures mainly in the 80s, 86 degrees out towards Gazelle, 84 in Weed, and 86 degrees in Dunsmuir. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, there you can see 81 degrees in Tule Lake, 84 for California Pines. Not quite 100 degrees, but it is getting into the mid-90s by Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. Temperatures here mainly in the 80s, although Viola about 76, 78 degrees for Mineral, 85 in Westwood, and 88 degrees in Doyle. Here is your Dignity Health Valley neighborhood forecast. There you can see about 90 degrees out in Hamilton City, 92 degrees for Chico, 93 degrees for Los Molinos, and there's a look at your 7-day forecast for Chico. Temperatures increasing up to 100 degrees by Friday and over 100 degrees by the time we get into the weekend. Look for a high of 95 degrees for Redding, as well as Cottonwood and Red Bluff, a high of about 93 degrees. Even Red Bluff, you're up to 100 degrees by Friday and over 100 degrees by the weekend. Let's take a look at your 7-day forecast for Redding. 98 degrees on Wednesday, and then temperatures over 100 degrees by Friday, up to 106 by Saturday, Sunday, and really pretty much keeping it that way as we go into early next week. That's your morning update. I'll be back again at noon. Have a great morning.
Barr & Mudford is a top established firm here in the North State. Founded over a half-century ago, Barr & Mudford is protecting the rights of our neighbors and community. We take our commitment to our clients very seriously and provide a level of excellence unrivaled in the North State. Barr & Mudford, standing up for the rights of our neighbors and our beautiful community, serving Northern California with excellence.